So the episode begins with this mom explaining her experience with her child at Nickelodeon. And it's very telling because this mother says, when she had been a child, they lived in Hollywood. Her mom had been on the legal side, working for a production company. And she saw a lot of things and she was unimpressed and swore that her son and her daughter were going to have nothing to do with this slimy business. And her daughter was really annoyed and upset by that because she felt like, you're taking my dreams away from me. It's all I ever wanted. Why do you have to be so weird? Well, her mom said no. So when that woman grew up and had kids, her daughter was just entranced by the Disney Channel, by Nickelodeon. She loved kids television. She wanted to be in kids television. And so at 11, they auditioned and she got a part on a Nickelodeon show. And the mother that was talking says repeatedly how proud she felt that she could give her daughter what her daughter wanted. Basically, kind of like an FU to her mom, like, you said I couldn't, but I'm not that kind of a mom. I'm not going to stop my child's experience. I'm not going to stand in the way of her dreams. She can do whatever she wants. I'm like, I'm the cool mom. My stupid mom got in my way, but I'm not that kind of a mom. And I think that because she was out to prove something to herself about what kind of mom she was and how she was a better mom and a kinder mom and cared about her child's dreams kind of mom, she let red flag after red flag go into this situation where I'm just like, if you had less of a bone to pick with your own mom, you might have been able to sit your ass down and have a little chat with yourself about what your daughter was going through. But instead, she just ignored until her daughter was assaulted, basically. So what happens is, on the show, there's this guy. His name is Jason Handy. He is a production assistant. Okay, let me say that to you again. A production assistant. A basic nobody. Okay, his job was to babysit the kids, basically. Walk them here, walk them there, herd them here. That was his job. So he's hanging out with the kids all day. Perfect job if you're a pervert. But he also, once he would get the kids on set, he'd come out to the parents who were kind of sitting. They weren't, I guess, allowed on the set, supposedly. Okay, let that question hang in the air. A lot of the parents said they were not allowed on set. They were told they couldn't go on set. So they sat off set somewhere, but they weren't watching their kids. You have another dad later on, Drake Bell's dad, who says he was never off set. He made sure to stay within eyesight of his kid. And I just think that if you wanted to be present where your child was, you just had to make it happen. Drake Bell's dad did. And all these other parents that were like, okay, I'm not allowed. I'm not, okay, I'm just going to go over there. No, they're not allowed to push you out. They don't have a right to do that. That's your kid, and they're working your kid, and there's child labor laws involved and everything. You can be within eyesight. I'm not saying you have to go sit on the set, but you can sit off camera and make sure your kid's okay. All right, so a lot of parents are off set, and Jason Handy would go out, talk to the parents, get to know them, where are y'all from, and he's making all the parents feel comfortable, exchanging email addresses and things like that. Well, one day, this little girl named Brandy, the one who we're talking about, whose mom was the cool mom and let her be on Nickelodeon, unlike her mother, who had stifled all her dreams. Brandy and her mom are driving home after a day on set. Brandy says, Jason is so nice. We've exchanged email addresses and we're going to start emailing each other. Okay, at this point, I would have been like, what are you talking about, Brandy? He asked for your email address? Are you kidding me? You're 11 years old. No, he shouldn't be doing that. I would have had issues. I would have been like, you're not emailing that guy. And I'm not saying that would have lent me at that point to be like, and you're never going back to Nickelodeon. Because at this point, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. But I would have been like, that was weird. And it's one thing to exchange maybe email addresses with the parents. Although what does a production assistant need with the parents' email addresses? He's a nobody. Anybody who's like, oh, this is going to be a person that I know in the industry who's going to help me climb the ladder. Not the production assistant's not. Jason's feeding little Brandy that line of, I can help you. Look, these are all the shows I work on. I can give you a leg up in this. So they're emailing back and forth. Now, the mom is constantly giving all these caveats in the conversation, in the interview, by saying, well, we only had one computer, and it was in the dining room, and when she'd be on the computer with Jason, because eventually it escalates to them instant messaging each other, she says that she'd be reading over Brandy's back. It's all this like generalized stuff, I'm working on this show. It was fun to work with that person. It's like the mom keeps acting like it's normal that this guy, this adult male, would even want to spend time talking to an 11-year-old. Like, why would Jason want to do that? Even if he's not saying anything weird now, why don't he have friends of his own age? Who wants to talk to an 11-year-old? Who wants to spend their off hours instant messaging an 11-year-old? Mind numbing at best, even if you had all the virtuous motivations. I don't want to take time off out of my day. Like when I'm done at the end of the day, I don't want to be like, let me get on Instant Messenger and, message with a couple of 11-year-olds. What? I mean, only a pervert would want to. So anyway, but the mom still in La La Land, because she's the fun mom, is letting Brandy do this. Letting Brandy have a friend in the industry, the PA. Yeah, right. I mean, that's the thing that blows my mind. Why was that an excuse that the mom told herself? Jason will help her. Jason won't. Jason can't even help himself. If he could, he wouldn't be a PA. Anyway. Then one day, Brandy turns to her mom, which, God bless her. Brandy didn't hide anything from mama. Brandy turns from the computer and says, hey, Jason says he wants to meet me at the mall. He said, for you to just drop me off. But he told me not to tell you that he'd be there. And the mom laughs and she's like, yeah, that's never going to happen. And I'm thinking as she's telling this, oh, thank God you finally clued into the fact that this guy's a complete and total nut job. And the mom's like, at that point, there were some red flags. But I just told myself that he was just joking. This guy just told your daughter, get your mom to drop you off at the mall, but don't mention I'm going to be there. And the mom knows this and goes, it's kind of a red flag, but I'm sure it was a joke. The only joke here is you, lady, calling yourself this child's mother. Who in their right mind would allow this to go down? So she just kind of sits on it, doesn't really do anything about it. It's like, that was weird, but whatever. I can't get past that. I can't get past that the mom wasn't like, shut down the computer, never talk to Jason again, ever. And then letting people know, other parents know, hey, this guy asked to spend time with Brandy alone at the mall and told her not to tell me. Watch out for Jason. I would have made sure that everyone in the community was aware. Not in a catty way, but that's a weird thing to do and say. That's not something a normal guy would say. All right. Well, mama doesn't do anything about it. And one day, Jason emails her a picture of himself. The mom is doing whatever she's doing. Brandy's at the computer, as she always is. And then suddenly she leaps up, turns the computer off, runs to the room, slams the door. And her mom runs after her. Brandy, what's wrong? What's wrong? Brandy, something happened. What is it? Something happened, all right. Jason sent her a photograph of himself doing stuff to himself. And he says, just wanted to let you know I'm thinking about you. What? So now this child has this image in her head that no 11-year-old child should ever have in their head. Ever, 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 ever. And this could have all been avoided when Brandy says, Jason wants to email. And her mom goes, okay, sounds fun. You've got a friend in the industry. It's like, I'm sure the mom feels really bad, but it gets so much worse because then the mom's like, oh no, what am I going to do? Well, I should probably call the police, but I don't think I will because if I do, he's going to think I'm a bad parent. So I better not. I'll just make sure that Brandy never goes anywhere near that guy and we'll just leave the industry and we won't ever go back to Nickelodeon and that will be that. And later on, the mom makes a big stink about the fact that they never got an apology from Nickelodeon when it all comes out that Jason is a predator, although not because the mom bestirred herself to let the police know, but because some other parent did. And I think to myself, Nickelodeon owes you an apology. You owe Brandy an apology. It's like this, yeah, Nickelodeon should never employed this joker, right? Of course. But at the same time, there were multiple times in which you could have been like, okay, I'm going to check my need to be liked by my daughter and just let her know that this guy's a weirdo and I don't like this and we're not staying. But because she was all up in her feelings about the fact that she needed to prove something to the mother she had who had, nipped her dreams in the bud. Now she's allowing her daughter to keep going down the primrose path to, the road to perdition is lined with good intentions. Here's the mom like, well, I really want my daughter to have a nice time. I really want my daughter to have everything I didn't have. But you're like, how could a parent allow this to happen to their child when it's just so obvious that it's not a good thing? It's not, it is not even kind of like the next predator that we're going to meet later on in this, who was super slick at being manipulative and making people like him. That guy had it down to a science. This stupid Jason Handy, like, who's over there instant messaging somebody, like, literally, like, 2 weeks after meeting them, being like, hey, let's go meet at the mall, don't tell your mom. And thinking 11-year-old isn't going to tell their mom about it. Like, you don't know her enough to know, like, you haven't groomed her long enough to make sure she keeps her mouth shut.